WNBA are not going to be happy with this. That's all I'm going to say. They are absolutely positively not going to be happy with this right here. If you guys don't know, obviously, Caitlin Clark is what you call it. She is in the she's going to be in the WNBA as part of a now the NBC, the executive producer for NBC Sports has basically said, yeah, there's no more relevant player, and it's never going to stop. Caitlin Clark could win 10 rings and they're still going to complain about her not winning in high school. Like, and Caitlin Clark is, the most relevant person in basketball. No, that's racist. And I do think that the likelihood of Caitlin Clark, if the WNBA season doesn't happen.
Study the body language, the hesitation, the strained smile, the quick sideways glance. Many are labeling it as hype, but it lands more like frustration, as if NBC stepped over a boundary the WNBA preferred to keep out of view. That's the real tension here. This wasn't a light remark or harmless praise. It sounded more like a ranking move, a power signal, and that's exactly why it hit differently.
It has to be equal. And this is what NBC have said. There is no more iconic figure in basketball, in women's game right now, or the game in general, about Caitlin Clark. In the game in general. That's all I gotta say is that that is
when an NBC executive presents Caitlin Clark as the most iconic figure in basketball, full stop, it sends a double impact message. First, it elevates her into a level of recognition the sport almost never assigns in the moment. Second, it signals that the strongest audience pull is coming from a league often treated as secondary. That's why the response carries weight. NBC isn't some random show hunting attention. It's a major broadcast partner with strategic messaging, brand discipline, and carefully measured language that rarely deals in absolutes. So when they go definitive, it's intentional. It's a clear declaration of who drives viewers, boosts broadcasts, and captures mainstream focus. That's where the tension builds, because the WNBA prefers Clark to shine within the structure, not overshadow it. The league pushes for progress that feels shared, not centered on one name. The goal is balanced visibility. Every team, every market, every veteran, every storyline, all contributing to a league that looks strong on its own, without relying on a single figure to carry the spotlight.
Alyssa Thomas was the reason why people are watching. And by the way, it's not even, people are like, oh, it was the finals about Alyssa Thomas. No. They literally said it wasn't just the playoffs, but our regular season broke records as fans went to watch Alyssa Thomas. Like, that is a statement. And as a statement the WNBPA had put out. I have to say that is a statement that they had put out to say that fans came to watch Alyssa Thomas instead of Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese, even if he wants.
The broader audience isn't focused on internal balance, it follows the main attraction. So when NBC publicly places Caitlin Clark at the center during an NBA-focused announcement, it's more than simple promotion. It pulls her back to the forefront of the narrative and reshapes the discussion around her in a way that sits outside the WNBA's direct control.
They're not seen as problematic in the league, but now the NBC, the executive producer for NBC Sports, has basically said, yeah, there's no more relevant player, not only in the women's game. And this should be the biggest duh for the WNBA and the biggest W, that they have basically just said that a player in their league is now, in fact, the most iconic figure in basketball. This is on an NBA post.
Once that shift happens, every move is viewed through a new lens. Every quote gets dissected, and every reaction feels revealing. The pattern he points out holds up. Throughout the 2024 season, the WNBA consistently worked to guide the narrative away from the claim that a single player was powering the league's rise. Whenever the spotlight tightened, the messaging broadened. Whenever the metrics leaned toward one focal point, the public framing redistributed the credit across the entire ecosystem.
But at the end of the day, it's what you call it. It's an obvious statement, but they're not going to be happy. You just know it. Like, people are not going to be happy, basically, with, instead of where people should be happy being like, oh my god, people are actually saying that about.
You could sense that approach in how the league spoke after the postseason. Rather than leaning into the most obvious storyline, the official messaging highlighted different players and broader explanations, stressing that attendance jumps and attention waves reflected the overall product, not just the central figure driving the buzz. The underlying message was unmistakable: don't let the audience see this as a one-person engine. That's why NBC's statement creates friction for them. NBC isn't a debate panel chasing quick attention, It's a broadcast partner with major investments, deep research, and strong incentives to choose words carefully. When someone at that level delivers a firm declaration on an NBA-facing platform, it's not personal enthusiasm, it's strategic positioning. It sends a message to advertisers, sponsors, and casual viewers about where the real attention sits. That's the detail many overlook. Networks rarely speak this directly unless their internal metrics support it. They review ratings by time slot, minute-by-minute trends, streaming retention, social engagement patterns, and conversion indicators that answer the only question that truly matters: who draws the audience? So when NBC labels Caitlin Clark as the most influential figure in pro basketball, it isn't shock value, it's a business signal. This is the kind of statement that makes executives agree in closed-door meetings, the kind that influences where marketing money goes and how broadcast promotions are built. The delivery matters as well. There's no softening, no cautious wording, no shared credit framing. It's direct, confident, and public, which signals they trust the data behind it. That's where the WNBA's communication strategy runs straight into NBC's reality-based assessment, because once a major partner says it openly, it can't be taken back. Here's the disconnect many people miss. In most sports leagues, a declaration like this becomes a celebration moment. If a top broadcast partner named one athlete as the most iconic figure in the sport, the league would immediately amplify it, promote it, and build sustained campaign energy around that star. Commercials, features, and entry-point marketing would all center on that face, that standard industry practice. But the WNBA has taken a different approach, treating Caitlin Clark's star power as something to carefully manage rather than fully crown, not because they doubt its value, but because they want to direct how that value is used, and that approach isn't changing anytime soon.
And it's never going to stop. Caitlin Clark could win 10 rings and they're still going to complain about her not winning in high school. Like, I just mean it where it's like, these people, none of this is relevant to anything. Like, it is funny in terms of the relevancy. Like, the players have been offered amounts of money that they dreamed of getting. And are calling it slaps in the face. They're getting the coverage that they've always wanted to get.
They want the wave of new attention without creating the impression that the league's worth depends on a single name, and that pressure sits beneath the entire conversation. For years, the WNBA has operated with a culture built on parity, mutual respect, and shared credit, promoting the idea that the strength is in the total product, not one personality. From a team perspective, that approach makes sense. From a brand perspective, it's a bold gamble, because fans don't connect with frameworks, they connect with stories, rivalries, and recognizable faces. Star players are the gateway for casual viewers to understand a league. Broadcasters recognize this because their success is driven by audience focus, and sponsors recognize it because they invest in association with people the public instantly identifies. Corporate partners aren't purchasing balance, they're investing in reach, visibility, and cultural impact, the power to put one face on a billboard and have it immediately register. So when NBC uses strong, summit-level language, it isn't dismissing everyone else, it's operating exactly the way major broadcasters do. It's about identifying the strongest marketing driver and turning it into the headline. The WNBA's unease isn't really about whether Caitlin Clark is a star, it's about what follows if there's full agreement that she's the central star. Once that becomes accepted reality, every decision is judged through that filter: scheduling choices, TV slots, ad strategy, and public comments, and the league can no longer present attention as evenly shared. That's the true collision point. NBC is speaking in the language of business, while the WNBA is speaking in the language of principle. The Cheryl Swoops episode illustrates this clearly because it was never only about a disputed quote, it was about how fast the discussion moved away from the substance and toward defending positioning. In simple terms, a report spread claiming Cheryl Swoops described Katie Lou Samuelson as more important to the Indiana Fever than Caitlin Clark, and Swoops later responded by clarifying that her intended message was not more important, but equally important.
Fever are better without Caitlin Clark is one that was used by commentators. Like, to be fair, at least no one's gone full Cheryl Swoops. The fact Elle Duncan apologizing to Cheryl Swoops is still one of the craziest things. So basically, Elle Duncan said that Cheryl Swoops said Katie Lou Samuelson was more important to the Fever than Caitlin Clark. And that's what...
The reporter issued an apology for the wording, and the obvious next step should have been a simple question: how does anyone arrive at equal to begin with? But the focus didn't go there. Instead, the momentum shifted toward defending Cheryl Swoops, defending the intent, and defending the principle behind the statement, while criticism was framed as overreaction. The narrow distinction between more and equal became the headline, while the core claim behind it stayed mostly untouched. That exposes the broader environment. Saying Caitlin Clark and Katie Lou Samuelson delivered the same value to Indiana isn't just a small difference in opinion, it misrepresents what was happening on the floor. Samuelson held a limited role with modest output, while Clark was directing the offense, producing points, creating opportunities for teammates, and handling a workload that reshaped the team's identity.
Is actually, in fact, they're at fault, and that, you know, Cheryl Swoops didn't say, like, basically Cheryl Swoops can do no wrong when she slightly misquoted. She it was a whole apology and then went to bat for Cheryl Swoops when the sentiment of why the Cheryl Swoops statement was crazy, it was true. That she was saying nonsense shit about Caitlin Clark.
Those responsibilities aren't comparable. Yet in this media environment, pushing back on equal was treated as if acknowledging the obvious was the real offense, not the claim itself. That's the recurring pattern. The league's messaging has been so focused on avoiding a single-star narrative that it produces arguments disconnected from reality, prioritizing framing over facts and defending balance even when the data shows one player is the engine. With that in mind, NBC's statement lands in a new light. NBC entered a space where stating the quiet truth aloud triggers resistance, not because it's wrong, but because it threatens the preferred storyline. The league wants the narrative of collective growth. NBC highlighted that one individual is driving attention and shaping the sport's reach. That's why reactions were so sharp. NBC didn't just praise Caitlin Clark, it challenged the unspoken rules about how she can be discussed. And the stakes rise even further, because this isn't just a headline for debate anymore. The labor situation is real, and it's already shaping how the league functions. The players opted out. The previous agreement expired on October 31st, 2025, and as of early 2026, no new deal is in place. That's why the word everyone hesitates to say is quietly circulating: lockout. If negotiations stall, the season in the crosshairs is the next one on the calendar, with the league's 30th season set to start on May 8th. A delayed start is one challenge, a season in limbo is another entirely. Either scenario creates a harsh reality for most players, heading overseas, cobbling together income, keeping their skills sharp, and hoping the spotlight remains when they return. For Caitlin Clark, the stakes are different. Her value extends beyond on-court performance. It exists in real time, in American arenas, primetime broadcasts, and the national sports conversation. Remove that for months, and it doesn't just pause a season, it stalls momentum.
I actually don't know what's going to happen if the WNBA season doesn't happen. I mean that. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't know what they're going to do, because if the W season doesn't happen...
Momentum is the most fragile currency in sports, and it's worth being honest about how that works. Overseas leagues have long showcased top talent, yet most casual American fans still don't follow them week to week. The time zones are tough, access is inconsistent, and the cultural conversation rarely crosses oceans intact. A player can be great, but the spotlight fades. That's why NBC's approach makes sense. They aren't just celebrating Caitlin Clark, they're protecting against uncertainty. If the WNBA schedule falters, NBC wants to keep her visible, in front of audiences, and integrated into a regular sports routine. They've already invested in her as a ratings driver and are positioning her as a cornerstone of their basketball identity, not a fleeting guest star. That's why the executive statement resonated so strongly. It wasn't mere praise, it was insurance. Even if the league pauses play, NBC maintains Caitlin Clark on its platforms, analyzing games and staying present for viewers. That is the hedge. NBC keeps her tied to the weekly sports routine, maintains the audience connection, and keeps the story alive even if the league calendar goes dark. It's smart business, but it also highlights the underlying tension. NBC views her as an individual asset more clearly than the league is willing to admit. The controversy isn't the praise, it's the discomfort. The league wants to manage her stardom instead of maximizing it, as if recognizing a singular force automatically diminishes everyone else. But that's not how sports brands grow. In the NBA, entire eras were defined by individual stars, and the ecosystem thrived. Michael Jordan became the global face, and the league expanded. Kobe Bryant became a cultural icon, and the league grew. LeBron James dominated the conversation for 2 decades, and the league benefited. Stephen Curry changed the style and reach of the game, and the league prospered. Role players didn't need equal billing for the league to win. The NFL works the same way. Quarterbacks become the face, and Patrick Mahomes is everywhere because he drives attention, and attention drives revenue. That's the reality the WNBA faces. They have a player a major broadcast partner is willing to center as the sports face, yet instead of leaning in, they dilute it. This is the kind of star power leagues spend decades hoping for. Instead of building an era around it, the WNBA hesitates, trying to acknowledge reality without upsetting anyone. It sounds noble, but it's not how cultural moments are captured. Moments don't wait for perfect messaging. You cannot run two strategies at once. You cannot be the league that insists the spotlight must be evenly shared and also the league that knows the spotlight is what draws new fans. At some point, a primary strategy has to be chosen, because the market will decide for you. NBC's statement hits harder because of where it was made, not just within the WNBA, but on an NBA platform, inside NBA coverage, placing Caitlin Clark in the same mental tier as the sport's biggest names. It puts her alongside LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, signaling she is the one currently driving the strongest attention. This isn't a feel-good comment about women's sports, it's a clear business assessment about who moves the needle, drives engagement, and serves as a tentpole for programming. The WNBA